welcome back to Let's Talk God, Jesus, and Faith today. I am Crystal Ruiz, your host, and I'm here with Dr. Tom Slayton.
Hi, everybody.
And today, Tom, I was talking to you before we started, but I want to talk about God's timing. The Bible, when we read all this stuff, you hear these things about David, and you know how much I admire him. He was a flawed man, but
He was just a man.
it was timing. Timing, all of them, everybody in the Bible. I mean, think of them all. They were all something, were flawed. We are flawed when we think
Mm-hmm.
of, you know, but when, but I just don't understand sometimes the timing that God has. Why is it that we're struggling so in society or in relationships or in jobs or in whatever it is that we're struggling in? Sometimes people are drug addicted, alcohol addicted, whatever it is that we're struggling with. Why are we struggling with it? And why does God wait so long to do something to help?
I think one of the biggest problems when it comes to our struggles and God helping is He will wait for you to turn it loose and turn it over to Him. Because what we have a tendency to do is to go after things, get it to a point we can't get it, we go give it to God. But then, ding, or we go back and get it and pull it from God, He'll let you have it and you'll fiddle around with it some more and give it back to Him. It all evolves to a point of trust. Either you're going to trust you or you're going to trust God. And it's the hardest thing in the world to turn it loose and let somebody else do it,
You know,
even God.
it's interesting you say that because, and I've told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. When I was in the restaurant industry, I started in the restaurant industry just like most people do. You fall into your career. I could put food on the table, I could pay my rent, I could put gas in my car. I had some monies to spare.
Mm-hmm.
I was very good in the restaurant industry, but God kept going, nudge, nudge, wrong direction, nudge, nudge, wrong direction. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but
This direction I want
oh
to
my
go.
God. Well, and it was like, what do I do? Well, if I do that, there's no money. What do I do? How do I even do that? I don't even know how to do that. And I just kept making excuses
Mm-hmm.
until finally God put a hole in the floor and I fell in that hole, and I wrenched my knee so bad that I was put in a wheelchair and told I'd never walk again. Ended up in a tent, was homeless for 5 years, and still I was fighting him. Still. And it wasn't until the homeless guy who was a neighbor decided he was going to be my boyfriend, and he kept cleaning himself up. And I was in so much pain that day, and I was rocking back and forth in the tent, just holding my knee, just at the end of my ropes. And I look out, and there he is, relieving himself like a dog in front of my door, marking his territory. At that point, I was just like, you take it. I can't do it anymore. You can't do it anymore. But that's when I released it like fully to him.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a while. It took the 5 years for me to learn to walk again and get out of homelessness and get out of the situation. And it's been a struggle financially. I was at a high paying job, but I can't do that anymore. So it took a while for me to go, I'm trusting the Lord. And when I started trusting the Lord, that's when He put me in as a politician, and I started doing what I love to do, what I'm passionate about, helping people. And I feel that I'm in a really good place. I want to do so much more, but I'm in the right spot. But it takes a lot. And I don't want our viewers to go, hey, I have to, fall in a hole and be homeless. But what I want them to do is go, like you said, you hit it right on the nail, I think, is that we have to turn it over, even if it's something so simple as to pay a bill.
Yeah. Well, it boils down to trusting God. I'll just use my position as a pastor, a Christian leader, etc. I have to pray, listen, get the concept of the idea, then start bombarding it with prayer and trust that God is going to get you over Whereas that's not the way we like things done. We like things done in a nice little notebook. You can open up to page 7 and you can find your third point and you
Mm.
can continue from your third point, not knowing that's not the way God runs the universe.
Well, and I think we also want it instantaneously now.
Oh, now that's meddling there
Yeah.
because everything with us has to be instantaneous. And with God, by Him seeing the big picture, He's not seeing what you're seeing here. He's seeing out here, and it takes more time to get out here than to just be on a little focus. We would never go to where God intends us to go to if He would let us do it ourselves. He has to do it.
And I think that visual that you have of God's vision out here um, is really something to think about,
Mhm.
because God sees the potential
Mhm.
that we have. And I think you're right. I think we have to trust in Him, and it's not so easy. It's not so easy to let it go because we've spent all our lives, right?
When I was a little boy, I recall I was standing in church in New York City, and they sung a song the first time I heard it, and it said, I trust in God. I know He cares for me. And that just went all over me. The rest of the song I never heard. But that little part, I trust in God. I know He cares for me. That has stuck with me all my life.
Isn't that amazing?
And that's what you have to always remember, that regardless of how pitiful the situation looks, how impossible it looks that this could go together, you got to trust in God and know He cares for you.
Well, and He's the God of the impossible, right?
Yeah,
And it's interesting. He still does instantaneous miracles, right?
sure.
He had lame men walk. He had blind men see. He, restored the
Well,
health of the woman who touched his robe, right?
miracles, people don't understand what they are. It's just a supernatural or divine intervention into everyday life.
Oh,
That's all it. We want to put something big on it. No, it's that
it's big to us, though.
it's big to you because you don't understand how this could possibly happen to you. But we get more miracles that we don't even recognize as miracles
Mm-hmm.
than you can shake a stick at. You have your day all planned from the time you get up, and all of a sudden, um, a piece of toast gets stuck in the toaster and starts making that smoke and everything, and you got to clean the house out, and now you missed your appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the trouble was, if you had not have missed your appointment because of the smoke, and you don't even know this, there would have been a severe car accident at the corner,
Mm-hmm.
and you would have been the primary. See, so the things like that,
We don't see the big picture.
no, what we have to do is learn how to relax. When it comes to money, He says, I shall supply all of your need according to my riches and glory by Christ Jesus. Well, if God is going to supply your need, why are you telling Him what you need? Why are you
Mm.
wasting your time telling Him? When you pray for what you want,
Oh,
not what you need.
what did you just say?
I said, pray for what you want, not just what you need.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. That's why Christianity falls apart, because people, they read what the scripture says, but then they put their idea of what it means rather than using some common sense. Common sense says if God says, I will supply, He didn't say He may supply. He said, I will. It don't get no better than I will. That's an absolute. That cannot be changed. I will supply all, ALL, not SOME.
Hmm.
Not if your conditions are right, not if you're living right, not if you got on your red shoes. I will supply all of your need according to what? Not you, my riches and glory by my Son, Christ Jesus. Now, what you have to do is turn on your truster rather than you're trying to figure it outer.
You know, you're right. And we as humans, we are the figure outers.
Oh, yes.
There's at least one member in a family that has to handle the finances. Otherwise, you have problems, right? So that one person is taking on that, okay, I can't pay the mortgage, I can't pay the rent, I can't pay the utilities, what am I going to do for groceries? They're all stressed over that. And I've been struggling with this because I'm the one that handles it in our family. And the finances are like so tight that I'm in tears. That's why. I mean, it's to the point where how last month I was like, how the heck are we going to pay our mortgage? And I figured I in my brain said the mortgage is due on the 7th. So it normally is the 1st, but I have till the 7th, right? So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I called the mortgage company out. I don't get paid till next week. I should have it next week. And I'm freaking out. And she didn't understand what I meant because she said it was the 16th. The 15th is the day, not the 7th. And so I'm like, okay, we'll have it. Well, oh my God, you've got it because I don't have it. I don't know what to do. And I knew my check was only like $500. So I'm going, I need almost $1,500. I don't know how it's going to happen. I have to pay water, gas, electric, food, and I don't know.
I'll tell you something that happened to me with mortgage with this house that we're in right now. My mortgage was due. I'm gonna put this date on it. I forget exactly what the date was. This was a long time ago. I'm gonna say the 15th, and I was confident that I was gonna have the money on the 15th. But then, when the 12th came, I lost my confidence because nothing had showed up. When the 13th came, I went, what's going on here? When the 14th came, I read my Bible and I look up and go, hey, what's the matter you, huh? And the 15th came and nothing. And I'm going, oh my goodness, it's due at 4:30 and they're threatening to take the house. I didn't realize that they don't take your house on your first missed payment.
Yeah.
But that's the
That's the
message
mindset. Yeah, that's
they
what
put
they tell you.
across about three to 9 payments they will, because they don't want what are they going to do with all these houses.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sitting there saying, Lord, I just don't know what to do. Here it is, the 15th of the month, and I don't have none of this, and I was showing him, you said you supply all of my need according to your riches and glory by Christ Jesus. So I'm going to have to trust you because I don't have anything. Well, it was due at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock came. Oh my. I'm going, what am I going to do? 4:10 came. Wow. 4:15. I'm getting scared now. I don't know what I'm going to do. I think it was like a Thursday, and I'm going, oh my, I'm still praying. And then something said to me, I'm sure you know that person too. Why don't you just trust God? I said, okay, I'm going to leave it alone. 5 o'clock came, 6 o'clock came, 7 o'clock came, and I'm thinking, well, I'm in trouble now. They're going to take my house tomorrow. It was 7 o'clock. I haven't paid the bill. Blah, blah. 8 o'clock came. 9 o'clock came. I went on to bed. I'm in that bed in there. 9:30. There's a ring of the doorbell. I go, who in the world would come and ring my doorbell at 9:30 at night? I'm in my skivvies because guys don't hardly sleep in PJs. That's a woman. I gotta get up and find something to put on. So I go to the door, and this guy says, Pastor Tom, he said, I owe you an apology. He said, I was supposed to be here at 3 o'clock today with this money. He says, now, if you receive this money, he said, I sure would appreciate it. He puts $900 and some in my hand. I said, thank you so much. This is the rent that I was supposed to pay. He said, yeah, at 4 o'clock. said, yeah, thank you so much, brother. So the next morning I called the people and I said, I got the money. So I just sent it in, no problem. Huh? I thought I was going to have to drive to Los Angeles. I
Oh,
said,
yeah.
don't worry about it. You see, it was a big thing to me, but it wasn't a big thing to them. Now, the thing we got to realize is God knows how things are going. And we look at our little relationship with Him, He has control over that company too.
Good point. Good
See,
point.
don't think that company don't have problems. When I worked for IBM, uh, uh, IBM was International Business Machines Corporation.
Hmm.
I had to go back to the East Coast and spend, I think it was 9 weeks in class and going back and forth. Then we had to ship from there and go to New York for so many weeks, you know, and we finally came back and we had all graduated. I think out of the 140 something that went, 34 of us graduated.
Oh, wow.
The others got blown out, and we're in front of the guy. He's giving us our final accolades and everything, and welcome to the company and blah blah blah. He says, now I'm gonna really bust your bubble, but I'm gonna help you a lot. He says, never forget this. He says, IBM stands for International Business Machines Corporation, but IBM also stands for itty bitty machines. that that changed our lives.
That's amazing.
Well, what we have to do is relax. We are always on edge, and when you're on edge, you can't get anything done.
Well, that brings me back to what happened, because what happened was it came to the 13th and I still didn't have the money.
Mm.
And I knew that my check was only going to be $500, and I had all those. I had medicine I had to get, the whole bit. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And all of a sudden, on the 13th in the mail, we get a letter. And my husband had, how you opt in or opt out for a class action lawsuit, and you don't really do anything.
Yeah.
And then you get this check. And usually it's like $50 if you're lucky, right? The check was almost $1,300. We were able to put the check in that day. The next day, my check came in and we paid that bill. And I was just like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, thank you, thank you, because I could never have done that in a million years.
And you couldn't see how He can do it.
Yeah.
You see, that's the thing. As an old head in the things of God, I'm talking about myself now, I've learned to a degree to relax, particularly when it's not with my wife and I, but it's, say, somebody in the congregation. It's easier for me to believe for their success than not. And God has always come through. And it's going on 50 years of this.
Well, and I think it's hard for the person to see themselves.
Yeah.
It's hard to step out of the way and go, look at what God can do for me.
Yeah.
Because we don't see the big picture.
Yeah.
We don't see that hey, when I was 18 years old, I graduated, I wanted to be a politician. I wanted to work for the people. That was my dream job. I wanted to be part of that. It was the Reagan era where politicians actually did what they were supposed to do and work for the people. He showed us that, right? So that's what I wanted to do, but I was kicked every time I went in to go try and do politics. Back in the 80s, you went to be a politician, you're a woman? No, huh? You had to marry somebody and they had to die in office. And that's how you got
a
in.
foot in, yeah.
Right. And I was like, what? I'm not marrying somebody for money.
Right.
I'm not going to do that. That's not what I want to do. And like I said, the restaurant sucked me in because I could make money at it and take care of myself. But after tragedy, then trying to get my attention, finally, I get married, and that dream had gone long ago. And I never thought to open it again until we moved here, and we weren't here just a couple months. And the neighbor happened to be the mayor of the city, and he comes over, and he helps us to move in. Now, because I can't lift with my knee very much, he was helping lift all this furniture. I was amazed. So I had a 1 year old, 2 year old, 3 year old, and 4 year old. At the time, she wasn't even one, she was like 6 months. And so all of a sudden, he comes a few days later, he comes driving up, and he's in this fancy smancy suit, and he's looking all dapper, and he pulls up to my husband, and they talk for a few minutes. He says, really got to go. I've got to go to a meeting. And he said, well, what's the meeting for? He said, well, I'm the mayor. And my husband quickly says, what, the mayor of the block? And he laughs. He goes, no, the mayor of the city. And he goes, okay, have a good one. And my husband comes in, and I'm feeding the little one. The other ones are playing. And he goes, you know that guy that was down the street that helped us? And I said, yeah, Scott. And he said, yeah. And he said he was the mayor of the city. And I went, what? I said, that's odd. So my husband goes in, and he'd already hooked up the internet to the computer, and he gets on the computer and he looks at it, and he comes running back out, and he's all excited. He goes, oh my God, he's the mayor of the city. And I'm like, and he helped us move? Like he
Yeah.
physically got in and did all this work. So I said, we got to invite him over. Now, mind you, again, we were very, very poor. We didn't have any money. We could barely get the house. It was a miracle we got our house. So I said, let's just have hamburgers. So we made this hamburgers, and and since I was in the restaurant industry, I made it look nice, and some chips, and we had him over. He wasn't there 15 minutes, and he goes, you should run for city council. And I walk across the room to my husband, and I had this twinkle in my eye. And my husband goes, oh no, he doesn't know what he just did. And he starts laughing because he'd never seen that before, but he knew it was that passion being ignited by God. And just the words, and I knew that's what I was supposed to do. It's like something in my soul just jumped with joy. And I think we have that all along. We have that feeling that tells you, hey, something's you should do something.
Well, see, what happens is God knows how to get us where He wants us to be, as opposed to the direction that we're going. Now, let me explain. When I was in service, I was in light and heavy ground radio electronics. So it was I was one of the first ones to be able to work on a computer. And this computer told the B-52s where to drop bombs around the world. I won't say where, I could tell you specifically where. But now this computer was the size of this room. And I had to go in there. What God had given me the talent to operate on that, and to not be concerned with what had to be done there. Well, now I'm out of service, and I'm working for itty bitty machines, we called it. And I went to help somebody, and they put them with me to train them. Well, now here I've been at IBM for 3+. Nice guy. We really hit it off. We had a good camaraderie. We would eat together and talk and laugh and all of that. And in that, the subject of salary came up. He says, well, how long you been here? I told him, a little over 3 years. Well, how much you make? So I just told him, and he laughed. I said, how come you laughed? He said, man, they just hired me on, and I'm within 62 cents of what you make already.
Oh, wow.
So I said, oh, wow, that's something. So I went and told my manager. Well, my manager, he was one of those big guys, except I was bigger than him. He didn't like that. And when he saw me come in, he knew something was wrong. So he sent me to his manager, who was the overall regional manager. And I sat down and told him, he said, oh, well, hey, we'll bring you up par with him. But bring you up par ahead of him. Well, where you should be. I says, you mean all this time I've been working, I'm not where I should be? as hard as I work and as good a job as I have done for you all of these years, you have held me back. Why?
What do you say?
I said, I'll tell you, we were colored then. I said, colored
Oh.
people don't get a fair break today.
Oh.
He says, well, it's really nothing like that. I said, yes, it is.
I think I can relate a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, I was saying it'd be like
Women,
being a woman. Yeah.
women still don't.
Oh, I know.
You
So
know.
I told him, I said, okay, well, I'll take what. So he gave me a sizable raise, et cetera, et cetera. I went and joined the sheriff's department that week.
Ah,
So the raise I could have gotten, I think he gave me something like a $2 and something raise. And I went to the sheriff's department, got an $8 and something raise.
isn't that amazing? And
Yeah.
God puts you in from one to the other.
Yeah, just put it right in.
Right.
And when I came into the sheriff's department, they almost before I could get in, they had me signing papers.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's interesting. And before we wrap it up, that's interesting that you said that, because we were talking a little bit about my brother and how he is an absolutely amazing cybersecurity guru. He is like the top guy. If he could do anything computer wise, he's like one of those, and he's a Renaissance man. But he makes serious money, right? And he got laid off, and he's been struggling to find a job, and he has the ability. He makes these people.
Is he still laid off?
Yeah.
Can I send him a word through you?
Mm-hmm.
Stop applying from where he was and apply to where he wants to be and should be. Meaning, don't try to hire on down here because that's where you were. Apply up here.
Yeah.
If there's something down here that they want you to do, they will recommend it to you. But if you don't apply up here, all you're ever going to get is what's down here. Apply big.
I think that is advice for most people. I really do, because I ran into the same thing, and so now I'm hoping to get this job, and hopefully we'll start seeing a turnaround. But wherever God plants me, that's where I'm going.
Well, they told me one time, the guy said to me, he says, "You act like you want my job." I said, "No, I don't want your job. I want your boss's job." Oh!
But you know what? If you don't think big, you're never gonna get there, right?
That's
Isn't it? They always used to say, and they still do, if you shoot for the moon, if you miss, you land among the stars.
Yeah, right.
And that's true. We never know where God's going to plant us, but wherever it is, He's got a plan.
My dad used to say, "Do not shoot for the moon. You will only hit the ceiling."
Oh, well, step outside.
Shoot for the stars.
That's too funny.
Yeah.
Step outside. The moon's out there. It's not in the building.
It's the ceiling. Oh, nice.
That's
It's only
awesome.
7.5 feet.
That's awesome. Well, we have to wrap it up. We want to thank you for joining us. We will see you next time on Let's Talk God, Jesus, and Faith Today.
And
Have
we
a great
didn't
week.
say the right thing, but we hope you got something from it.
And God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.